Today, I wanted to share with you the importance of money. Some people said the money is not really important in life, or money is everything. And it it's not really the extreme end of either is correct. If you focus your life based on money, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna accumulate as much as money as possible or something like that, then you will use any means necessary to try to get there. And oftentimes, I'm not talking about the rare cases where the purpose and the direction matches, but oftentimes you'll ended up taking a shortcut and or trying to follow some sort of like formulas that it sounds really good. In story, like let's say if you're listening to some sort of like a podcast or reading some kind of books, like how to get to A to B, and rather than getting some of the principles to acquire, you would just kind of follow the recipes and see where that takes. But doing so, just focusing on money, there is no love there for the business that you're going to do. And then you ended up losing money, a lot of money, or getting scammed and waste time. And on the other hand, the people who really don't care about money, okay, I'm not talking about that, like, responsibly using money, but then not caring about being so rich. That's respectable. But what I'm talking about, the people that, okay, you know what, you know, money is not necessarily happiness or something like that. So when they spend money or utilize money, they're not really thinking that hard. And what ended up is very careless usage of money, and it's not strategic. And what happened is, if somebody's like that, then what tends to end up is spending money on where you shouldn't spend on. But we really have to really think of the power of money, right? I mean, at the end of the day, not all people can work, volunteer. We have to make a living. Just because the world is functioning that way. And then it has a tremendous influence you can exert on others and then to yourself. You have to understand that. It is not just a transactional medium of commerce, but it's more reflective of your emotion, your status, your sense of well-being as well. So a couple of things I need you to really careful. First of all, how to save and how to invest. Okay, these two you really have to nail. I mean, earning, you got to find a passion, whatever, or sometimes you just have to discipline enough to do whatever the work necessary, ethical work necessary to earn some certain amount of money, to get back on your feet, and then have some, like, I would say at least 3 to 6 months of rainy day funds that you don't want to touch. And because those funds are, generally speaking, I would suggest putting in the money market, which are a little more valued than just putting on the savings. But then it's not a lot of actually a percentage, so you can just put in the savings. But then what I'm trying to say is that a little bit of money on that in your savings really makes you feel confident. You never know, really. Things happens. So that's another reason you want to get a insurance, proper insurance. If you're driving car, make sure that think about it. Like some people just get a liability insurance, but then if the car's value is high, then you should get a full insurance, even though it's covers. The key is always like it's not necessarily just because you're cheaping out all the time. That doesn't mean it's good. Or if you pay very expensive, that means it's really good. That's not how that thing works. You have to investigate the value of what you're gonna get, and then you pay the reasonable fee. That's all that is to it, really. And once you get that, the extra amount you want to put into the investment. I already talked about how to do the investments in more detail in the previous video. So just to quick review. For the most people, it's better to just put into the index funds, like a growth index funds, American ones. Just because historically it'll gives you about 10% and then or more per year, and then with the compound interest it'll accumulate. And why US is better is that whether we have a lot of issues ourselves, but then the rest of the world is even worse. Or they're too small that then they don't have that much of the economic power. So U.S. will be for the next foreseeable future, 50 years, 100 years, it'll be the best. Do not excess amount of money you have. Don't put just in a savings or put it in under the mattress. That's the worst thing. The money, if you not invest, if you're not using it, it'll depreciate the value through inflation. So rapidly, actually, after 10 years, if you have like a 10K, it might only worth like really 7K or 8K, something like that. And then you're also losing the opportunity cost, which is had you invest that money in, let's say, good mutual funds. That money could actually double. In 10 years it'll double, or if you keep investing your that kind of habit you have, then it's going to be a lot more. So you don't want to miss all these like opportunities. So make sure that you do this like really. Some of the one book that I can recommend is the common sense investment by Phil Fisher, and other two, as Warren Buffett said, just making sure that you understand the concept of a Mr. Market and also a margin of error. Basically, Mr. Market is market price is not necessarily reflecting on the intrinsic value of the company. So you can actually find some opportunities, but that's more advanced. Like if you try to pick the individual stock, or margin of error means just like let's say if the value of whatever, like the stock or things you're going to purchase, like this actually applies to not just the investment, and then it's part of the money stuff. So let's say if you find something that's like $100 worth, you try to get something, negotiate down and then find something with like a $90. So you have like a $10 cushion. That's the margin of safety. If the things are broke or like a little bit issue, right? you have that $10 differential to spend to either fix or return, and it's, your time is not wasted. The technically lower the better, right? So if you have somebody trying to sell something with for actual $100 worth of things with a $10, you have a margin of safety of $90. But unless this is something that you are expert in, oftentimes it's too good to be true, and then it could be a scam. So we gotta really think about this. And then the next thing is really the debt. You just don't want to get into the habit of getting a debt. It's including a credit card, or when you do investment or something, like it's easy to be in a euphoric state where you can just borrow the margin, or borrow from a home equity to just gamble. Gamble, to me, it itself should be avoided at all cost. Okay, gamble is technically it's a short-term short-term speculation which defies the mathematical odds. So what it really means that is the mathematically, like if you actually calculate, and then most of the things you can actually calculate, and that you are actually foolishly going against the odds, hoping that you're gonna win. Okay, as if you have some sort of like the spectacular power where you can seize things that other people can see. And this is important. If you have some sort of like the discerning eyes, like, or specialized knowledge, mathematically it makes sense. It rationally or logically, it doesn't even have to be mathematical, but then logically it really makes sense. And then maybe other people are not noticing it, and then price is so low that you can swipe in and buy really cheap, or you can sell it really high because it's really hyped up, and then you know that the price is actually really low. You can do that kind of stuff, but it's very rational, intuitive, coming from your years of experience, and if you can do that kind of things. But other than that, any type of speculative things, like let's say if you're trying to do the business, and oh, I like, okay, you can have all these like steps that you imagine that this is gonna be great, and then you're gonna borrow a lot of money, and a lot of things it's based on the hope, right? And then it is very important. Like this principle is important. Like you don't risk your livelihood for something that you don't need. Okay. So you can always do small, and then when you do small, right? Like debt is accelerator. It accelerated your progress, right? Because you don't have money, but then you borrow, and then you can do something about it. But always there is a way that you don't really need to use it, and to use the debt and absolutely necessary. Like you have a real great chance, and if you don't use it, it's either you're gonna go all the way to hell, or it's just it can save and you can recover. I mean, it has to be really strategic, and also that the money is always associated with human beings, so make sure that then you deal with people with characters. If you don't deal with not dealing with people with characters, the money will just disappear from you. They'll with charm or whatever, they'll bring up some kind of like ideas, and you get burned. I mean, I mean, probably like YouTube is full of those stories, and it is your daily discernment. Like you got to kind of practice, and you yourself have to have this a similar kind of character, because similar people actually stay together. So you and then when you talk, you sort of understand. Okay, this one has keep his word, and the life kind of stay upward on the growth, and you'll find these kind of people. Then you can actually trust. But at the same time, you always have to verify, right? Even though somebody with a good character, that doesn't mean that they're always right. Right, so you have to make a right decision. But generally speaking, if you have somebody that with a solid history of great character, then your money should be safe. Another thing is like don't give money. No, not give money. Don't borrow or lend money among friends or relatives, because it's very emotional, and it actually power balances shift. If you lend somebody money, you're gonna be a little bit higher position, and especially like since this is like a really close relationship, you don't want to, in case something happens, like you don't want to sue somebody, right? And then because they're close, the borrower may not feel like obligated to really pay you back, and but then you expect to pay. Like there is a difference in expectation as well. So if you want to help your friend or something, just give, and that's great. To me, one of the things, the important thing about money is to spend on something good. If you don't. Another actually on the backside of the difficulty is stinginess is not really a strategy to become successful. Okay, stinginess means I'm not talking about being careful, being accurate of tracking the things is different than being stingy. What I'm talking about the stinginess is like you just don't want to do it. It's basically you're selfish about everything, right? But then the more you give, it is true that then you'll gain. This is interesting. Probably come from like a like human relationship per se, and your psychology improve as well. So yeah, just be careful not to borrow. Try not to borrow or lend money to anybody close. And then if you do lend or something, you are not bank. So unless you have a collateral or something, just don't do it. It's going to be a nightmare. And what you want to be careful is like a lot of people will take advantage of the system, and then there is a zero chance I can talk everything, but there's a lot of scams and grifters all over the place. Okay. But then you can actually, these people are quite a small number of people. Not, I would say like less than 10%. But the 10% are significant. If you meet one, and if you couldn't distinguish, then you might actually waste years of your time dealing with this kind of people. So just be aware, of human relationship. Now, the money, a lot of times like money can destroy the relationship. Okay, so don't screw around. If you have somebody that you love or care about, then making sure that your finance, and then watch out their finance. Okay, it's not the fairy tale anymore in a real life. You really have, it's a famous stat that most problems of let's say divorce is the finance. So you really have to take care of that things responsibly. And then if you have that the good amount of things, like you feel confident, and that you're financially secure, means like you're gonna have a freedom. Okay, you can do what you really want to do. Okay, and another thing, like lack of money is not really critical actually. If you are moving up, like if you're resourceful, sometimes like having a lot of money that you didn't earn is a serious problem, because it'll sack your motivation. And then, like, especially when you're starting out or growing up, if you don't have motivation, you're not gonna have a skill. So rest of your life you're gonna struggle. So a lot of times, like rich kids would have a lot of hard time, loss of purpose, and really not you can't they can't really do much, like destroy, like just waste their parents' money and so forth. So and also, like, as probably a lot of people experience, but if you don't have money, you're gonna get a lot of stress, and especially if you're responsible, like you need to pay the bills and things of nature. So yeah, it is really unnecessary stress if you do it right. The journey of this financial stability and stuff is like it related to how much you want to take responsibility daily, and how you the expectation you're gonna have. Like, just commit. If you're struggling, pay down the debt as much as possible, especially credit card debt or high interest rate. And then don't worry about anybody else, really. Nobody cares really what you have, or why you might think somebody cares, but then they don't. It's just it's in our mind. So just decide, like, okay, first year or two, you're gonna live like a monk, so to speak. But then in the meantime, you're gonna kind of set up the real foundation for your finance. And if you do that, right, you're gonna learn so much in the 2 years, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, it's not really you can do a lot of adventure without or going through a purpose. Like, it is a great experience. So don't miss that kind of things. And then the worst thing is to just stay in this bad position for years and years on end, right? And they can't really see the end, because you're half-assed about solving the problems. So yeah, money is a really important issue. So don't underestimate it. And there is always a way to weigh out. So research it. If you have problems, I wouldn't really recommend like bankruptcy, just because, like, a lot of times you can figure it out how to pay back. It's sort of your responsibility that you did, and it made a mistake. So it's good to actually pay it back, and then through there you can kind of come up with kind of a solution. But there is a lot of ways, especially if you're living in the U.S. People give us a lot of second chance. So figure out the best way possible for yourself, and then just do it again, and life will be much, much better. Thank you for watching. Please share your ideas in the comment section below to help each other, and hit like and the subscribe buttons so you get notified of the next video. See you next time.